Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Clifford Show. Sorry for my nasally voice. Allergy season has been killing me this year, but that's not going to stop this episode. This is the second installment of a catch-up episode, so we got a lot to talk about. For starters, we got to talk about the theme song now.
Cherry blossom blooming through my mind, baby. Picking all the flowers in your vine, yeah. All your vibes got me moving lately. Perfect picture to my only sign, yeah.
Y'all know it is Cherry Blossom featuring my guy T-Jack and Khalil Marquise. And so the reason I say that now is I want to give a huge congratulations to my brother Khalil, who just got married in Colombia to the love of his wife, Mafe. Her family's from Colombia, and they're all still in Colombia. So we all flew down. That was the most Spanish I've ever heard and spoken my entire life. So it was great. It was amazing. It was an incredible wedding. As a matter of fact, I would say minutes after the wedding was over, they started playing Cherry Blossom over the course of the entire building. Everybody started dancing, including myself. And I was just like, I just got instant chills. And I'm like, one of my best friends literally found the love of his life and they tied the knot. And one thing I will say about Colombia, and really all the places I've traveled this year, whether it be, Germany, Italy, and in this case, Colombia, I'm relatively known as a homebody, but exploring these countries and everything they had to offer, it made me realize in my 27 years of living, it's like, I gotta go see more, man. I gotta explore more instead of just being isolated at the crib, even though I love my crib dearly, but it's like, nah, just like doing all this hiking, going up the hills, seeing the mountains, seeing the beautiful trees, the beautiful animals, the beautiful sculptures. It was one of those things. It was just real eye-opening. And it's one of those things where I know that's not going to be the last time I go to Colombia. It was so much fun. And we had dinner, right? We get to this restaurant. I forget the name of the steakhouse. Before we even sat down, we just took a look outside and it was just the forest. And it was just one of the most mesmerizing things I've ever laid eyes on. I was just like, this would be an incredible view for life. But this food was some of the best food I've ever had in my life. Like their ribeye was unbelievable. And they just had the crispiest of fries and the best salad, one of the best salads I've ever had. And in this hotel or resort that we stayed at, incredible hospitality from start to finish. Jacuzzis were great. The pools were great. The massages they had over there, they actually would rub actual coffee on our skin. And it was just like, this is different, but it's phenomenal at the same time. I was just like, I don't know what's happening, but I smell coffee and it smells sensational. And the massage was sensational. And even the sauna, everything about this hospitality was great. And then, I think the moment that gave me chills was seeing Khalil talk to his family. I was recording, but I was like, yo, I gotta get it together. Cause that's my big brother right there. So, and then meeting Mafe's friends and her family, I had to learn a little bit of Spanish here and there, but it was good. People would be like, where are you from? And I'd be like, Estados Unidos. And then they'll be like, what state are you from? And I'd be like, Carolina del Norte. I would always say North Carolina. People would be like, sí. And I would call Khalil, and then I'd be like, Khalil es mi hermano, which means Khalil is my brother. When I met Mafe's mom, I was like, ooh, Mafe's madre. She's like, sí. And I was like, I was cooking with the Spanish for a little bit. But Colombia was great, man. So shout out my dogs, Jeremy, shout out Tracy, shout out Khalil, shout out my dog, Steven. I had to give a huge shout out to my dog, Steven. Me and Steven was like a tag team, you know what I'm saying? That was my guy. But those are my bros for life. And shout out the Garcias again, man. That was a beautiful, beautiful time, a beautiful wedding. And everybody clap it up for the Garcias. Yeah. Cherry Blossom. So from there, so much to talk about. I know before I talked about my love for Earth, Wind & Fire. And first of all, I want to give a huge shout out to Questlove. He dropped an incredible documentary on Earth, Wind & Fire on HBO Max. And I'm telling you, the night that it came out, I was sitting on my couch just getting absolute chills. And it's one of those things where I thought I knew everything about Earth, Wind & Fire, but the more I dug in and listened to more about, the leader, Maurice White, his brother, Verdine, Philip Bailey, Ralph Slick Johnson, all the members of the group. And it's like, yo, I did not know they went through all this stuff. In the beginning of their career, Earth, Wind, and Fire was a completely different band. So there was no Philip Bailey. There was no Al McKay. There was no Ralph Johnson. There was no Johnny Graham. There was none of those guys. It was a whole completely older band. And so they stuck around for a couple years. And also just learning about Maurice White and his upbringing, how his mom, left him at a young age to find a better and happy life, not only for him, but for her. And so he ended up moving out and reuniting with her down the line, learning about his brother Verdine, learning about his brother Fred. And it was just like, I did not know Maurice White went through all this stuff. And then, of course, you talk about, Philip, you talk about Ralph, all these guys. Verdine is like the fire of the band. And so the whole documentary was great. And I always knew they were big on meditation. I used to be really big on it like back in the day, but I don't know, actually, I know what stopped. AAU basketball, all this traveling. But yeah, they were real big on dieting. They were real big on meditation. And so there was actually a point in their career where they were talking about how their first performance, before they performed, they just kind of like sat crisscross applesauce, closed their eyes and just sort of meditated. That was sort of like the course of the beginning of their band. And I was just like, yo, that just gave me all kind of chills. And then they went on that stage and killed it. And so a funny story, they talked about one of my other favorite funk bands, of course, Funkadelic. Shout out George Clinton, One Nation Under a Groove. So they were opening for Funkadelic and they thought it went great until George Clinton brought the funk to Funkadelic and shut them completely down for the night. And so from that point, Maurice White was like, I am never letting this happen again. And I don't think he did let it happen again, because from there was the birth of That's the Way of the World, All in All, Gratitude, Faces, Electric Universe, I Am, like all these incredible albums. And so it was pretty much just going through a course of their whole history. And then even like in the 80s, when they had their little split and, Philip was doing solo, Maurice was doing solo. It worked well for Philip, didn't really work well for Maurice. And, Maurice kind of let the EGO of being a superstar get to him, because he already had a family with one lady and then he had a family with another lady. So he had multiple sons, multiple families. So I was just like, man, it's like Maurice White was a player. Like I didn't know this about Maurice. So of course they reunited back in the 90s and they've been on and popping ever since. And then of course Maurice died, in 2016. He was sick in the 90s. And so they talked about that a little bit. He couldn't like perform anymore. He couldn't really function. He couldn't really sing anymore. But yeah, I got pretty much like every Earth, Wind, and Fire album you can think of. And funny enough, even though like All in All is a great album, I Am is an amazing album, I'm a huge fan of those later albums down the line. We're talking about The Promise from like, I think the early 2000s, and then Illumination. I vividly remember seeing an advertisement for Illumination back in 2005. And I remember begging my dad to get me the CD. So I think he got it for me because I was getting good grades at the time. Because that was the thing. Back when I was a kid, if I got good grades, if I got good scores, my dad would always give me gifts. So that was my gift. And as a matter of fact, I think I have it in the crib. I do have it in the crib. Hold on. Yeah, this one. Yeah, this is one of my favorite albums right here. My favorite track would have to be Show Me the Way. I actually vividly remember a time, it was around the time one of my aunties had passed away back in 2012. And so Show Me the Way featuring Raphael Sadiq, it always gave me chills. And I remember vividly, we were coming back home from my auntie's funeral, and around the end of the song, they started playing. And I remember my dad just visibly just like in tears. And I've never seen my dad break down like that. So it just gave me all kinds of chills. And it's one of those things where it's like, anytime I hear that song, I vividly remember that moment. So yeah, Earth, Wind, and Fire, that's a huge part of my life. And I can't thank my old man enough for introducing them to me when I was like, 2-3 years old. So yeah, that documentary was great. Staying on the course of music, we got to talk about something else. So, of course, with Earth, Wind, and Fire, you guys know I love my Michael Jackson. And so now we can officially say that Michael is the #1 biopic of all time, not just musical, but #1 biopic of all time. It surpassed Bohemian Rhapsody. It surpassed Oppenheimer. Both incredible films, by the way. And it finally reached $1 billion at the box office. Because I remember when I first saw the trailer back in February, I was like, this is $1 billion. That was the best movie I've ever seen in my life. Easily. Easily. Billion, easily. Like before the movie even came out, I was just like, this is $1 billion film moonwalking to the box office. Like, I saw that about a smooth 8 times. And I was actually texting my homeboys. I'm like, when's the last time you seen Michael? 2 weeks ago? Go see it again.
Close friends. Like I said, it's about 40 of y'all. If you ain't got your tickets yet,
Go get it now.
I would say I'd get it for you because we're trying to get it to $1 billion.
Yeah.
But I'm encouraging y'all to get some tickets.
Like, I was like pushing for this thing to reach $1 billion. So it finally did. So yeah, that incredible cast, by the way, Jafar Jackson, like, he didn't just imitate Michael. Like I said, he became Michael, you know what I'm saying? And so Coleman Domingo was great as Joe, Nia Long as Catherine, the whole Jackson 5 family. Can't forget little Michael Jackson, Giuliano. That whole cast was incredible. And I think it just garnered my appreciation for movies even more this year. Like, I would say this is the most movies I've seen in 1 year since probably before I was a teenager, maybe 9 or 10, because like movies this year have just been absolute gold. I mean, of course you got Michael, of course you got The Odyssey, which, by the way, incredible film. Like, I was boasting about the Oscars should just hand Jafar the Best Actor Oscar. Now it's kind of a toss-up because Matt Damon in The Odyssey was incredible. That was an incredible 3 hours. And I knew it was good because I didn't fall asleep one time. I didn't fall asleep one time, so I was just like, okay, now they got some decisions to make. So if Jafar doesn't win and then Matt Damon does win, I won't be mad. I will not be mad. So I did see Toy Story 5. Yes, I did see it. I grew up with Toy Story, so no shame there. And then, of course, you got the Avengers Doomsday. The trailer just dropped the other day, and my jaw was on the floor. I was like, if y'all thought the old Avengers was bad, like with Thanos, this is about to have us all on edge, over the edge, and just like all kind of shit, because the trailer looks amazing. Of course, you got the new Spider-Man as well. A great, great, great year for movies. What else is going on in my life? Well, I'm in the best shape of my life. You know, I've talked about this, before. Like, I've been kind of moving around, doing a whole bunch of stuff personally. I've been doing a lot more running, a lot more cardio, dieting. I did a story about this not too long ago. But yeah, this is probably the slimmest I've been since before college, right? And just spent a weekend up in New York, and the amount of eating that I did up there was kind of deja vu to how I was eating back in the day. Because I ain't gonna lie, I had great eats up there in New York City. But yeah, man, like moving to New York, that was a blessing and a curse, man. Because I moved up there back in 2022. I'm telling you, I was having New York style pizzas like every single week. And sometimes I would finish it in 2 days. Sometimes I would finish it in a day. And you got to remember, the New York pizza pies, they're massive. Like, your boy was eating good. So much so, I think I got to like 305 at one point. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of embarrassing, but it's no one's fault but mine. But when I saw 300 or 280 on that scale, when I got back home, like, my body just went numb. And so I remember vividly, I started just running in my family's neighborhood. And you guys know how, like, on the Apple Watch, whenever you run a certain distance, it'll vibrate. So I'm thinking, like, okay, it vibrated. So I think I ran maybe half a mile. It was a quarter mile. Yeah, I was slow. I was slower than a turtle, man. So I think I ended up finishing that mile in like, golly, 12, 13 minutes, the slowest mile I ever ran in my life. But from that point on, I was just like, I'm going to start running every single day, working out. And from there, it was smooth sailing. Now, I'm not going to lie, though. I'm not going to lie. At one point, too, this did help a little bit. I did have the flu. And y'all know, having the flu, you lose pounds on pounds on pounds. So I did lose a smooth, like, maybe 10 to 15 pounds from the flu, but I felt like death. It was a nightmare. Okay, yes, family reunion. Now, if there was a Medal of Honor for activeness on Ancestry.com, my dad would be at the top of that list. When dad's not working, Ancestry is his best friend. I'm not even kidding. I wish I had an example. But yes, like, every time I go to visit my parents, whether it be at home or it could be Daytona or just out and about in the public, I'm telling you, my dad, he cannot live without his laptop. I mean, it doesn't matter where we go. I'm talking about, he's gonna have it open and he will literally look at it straight like this. I'm not even exaggerating. Like, it'll be literally this close. Like, I remember after the first day of our reunion, my dad was in the lobby, and I'm like, Dad, like, we about to go get I forget where we went to go get food. I'm like, yo, we're going to get food. You want to go? Millisecond after he said it, he was like, no, I got to go. I got to work. Just straight like this. And I was just like, hey, kudos to him. Like my dad, he like loves his family. Of course, I love my family, but he, like they say, no, he dies for this. You know what I'm saying? Like he dies for it. So shout out my old man. So yeah, the family reunion was great. It's always good seeing family. And you know, one thing I did for the first time since a couple years ago, I saw my granddad's grave for the first time since he passed back in 2024. And it was kind of one of those things where, of course, it gave me chills, and it just really just made me sit back and reflect on that era of my life. That time, my hair was gone. Like I had cut my hair off. I was basically bald. You know, lost my grandmother, my grandfather in the span of I think 3 days apart from each other. And I was doing a lot back then. I was doing a lot of partying, a lot of drinking, a lot of moving around just to try to, get my mind off of it. Right. And so just kind of sitting and just watching, just looking at his grave, it just gave me time to actually sit back and realize okay, there's a lot of people I still need to get in contact with, to make amends with certain people. Like I said, we're not all perfect. We're not perfect. And there's just certain things that I need to get together in my personal life. And it was just one of those things where I could finally have a conversation with them after 2 years. And I don't know why it took me so long. But yeah, one thing about me, I don't deal with loss well at all. Whether it's a loss of a family member, a friend, it could be heartbreak, whatever the case is. I do not handle it well. So I was there, and I was just sitting talking to him for a smooth 45 minutes to an hour. So that was a special moment just to have a conversation with him. But besides that, our family reunion is always fun. It's always good to see family. The following week, I had some crazy news pop up. So funny enough, we had some shows planned. We had 3 or 4 locked in for 1 week, right? And I get a random DM from a rep at Nike, and she goes, "Hey, we got an event. We got an event this weekend. We'd love to have you come out." And so I was like, "I would love to, but I got some shows I got to do because as some people will say, priorities." But she hit me like a gangster. She was like, "Okay, I'm gonna email you. I'm gonna send you this link, and then you come back to me." So I was like, "Oh, this got to be something serious." So I opened up this email. I got invited to the opening. Now, for those who don't know what the opening is, back in the day, in the early 2010s, the opening, that was the 7-on-7 experience for some of the top recruits ever. I'm talking about Jamar Chase, Derrick Henry, Kyler Murray, Saquon Barkley, just to name a few. And the only reason I bring those 4 up is because this year at the opening, they had their inaugural opening Hall of Fame, and those 4 were the inductees. So they were there. I ran into Barry Sanders, Ryan Clark, Channing Crowder, Freddie T, shout out my Gator boys. And so, we were just in the facility, just doing all kinds of tours, just meeting all kinds of people for the opening. And it was just one of those things where I had to sit back and go, how did we get here? How in the world did we get here? And then, of course, I go in my room and there's size 14s everywhere and all kinds of XL gear. And I'm just like, what is happening right now? I don't get it. I don't understand it, but that was unbelievable. So being up there, we were up there for about 3-4 days, ended up going to all the buildings. I'm talking about the LeBron James building. We went to Coach K's building. We went to, obviously, the Michael Jordan building, saw the evolution of all the Jordans throughout the day. I don't know about y'all. My personal favorite Jordans, and honestly, my personal favorite shoe of all time is the Jordan 11s. I was very late to the shoe game. I didn't really invest in the Jordans until I was on the team, really, because back in the day, I was pro Nike. And then I laid eyes on our PE 11s, and I was just it was just a eureka, a light bulb over my head. I was just like, oh my God, these are the best shoes I've ever seen. So now I got 8 pair of 11s, about to be 9 this year. But yeah, man, just seeing some of the future, the future football stars of tomorrow go at it at the opening. It was an incredible tournament. I got to see my guys, Destroying and AJ Green. AJ and I, we go back years and years and years. Got to work out and going to Coach K's gym and hoop. I'm not gonna lie, if we didn't have the tours to do, I would have been like, yo, you guys can just keep me here. I'm just going to hoop in here for hours and just call it a day. But we had some touring to do, and that was great. Got to see some exclusive stuff that they're developing, which was really dope. And we also got to see some unreleased LeBrons, like LeBrons that just never made it past production. And I was like, y'all definitely tripping, because these LeBrons were just like, my favorite LeBrons are the LeBron 9 Elites, but it was like, yo, these put those to shame. Like, it really, really did put them to shame. So, yeah, man, shout out Nike for that. And then on top of that, we had a crazy shopping spree. I told myself, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to go too crazy. But if they have a lot of size 14s, what you want me to do? Not splurge? So I ended up getting like 2 pair of shoes. I got a cold vintage style WNBA jacket. I just got some Nike Tech stuff, because, Tech over Cortez, and then just stuff that I needed, like socks. And I did get 1 pair of pink Elite socks just for nostalgia purposes. I did get some Elite socks, but yeah, that was great. And then out there, I met, Panther players. I met Bryce Young, Tedero McMillan. I actually ended up having like a 10-minute conversation with Tedero's mother. And I was like, this whole family is great. Like, you guys are just such genuine human beings. And I'm like, see, Panther. This is what I like. Panther. I think a cool thing that I got to do after that experience was do some stuff with Hibbett Sports. So for all my Charlotte people, just think of a bigger version of Omega Sports. RIP Omega Sports, by the way. I used to go to that one in Rivergate all the time. If you know, you know. So I did some stuff with Hibbett. So they had like this back to school event. And so they gave me a certain amount of credit for, just for back to school stuff. And I was like, oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just give it back to my old high school. So yeah, Olympic, expect some gear coming soon. So, but yeah, so now that was really cool. Just to be in the position to, to give back to my hometown. I love my hometown like I love my family. Like, I love Charlotte. And, I feel like even to this day, I never really got the chance to say like a final goodbye, because like we just sort of abruptly moved, as I started at UF. And so I never really got a chance to say goodbye. So like now every time I go back home and I see that skyline as I land, I just get like all kinds of chills, because like I love Charlotte and I love North Carolina near and dear to my heart. Speaking of North Carolina, I know we talked about it in the episode with Reggie, but I got to give another shout out to my Carolina Hurricanes, Stanley Cup champions, two-time, 06, 2026, 20 years later. Build the coach's statue right now. So I got to give a shout out to the Carolina Hurricanes again. And, speaking of teams, so LaMelo got traded. Initially, I was just like, well, what are we doing? And, it was one of those things where it's like, you guys can't even hurt me anymore. You can't even hurt me anymore, because I'll tell you right now, growing up with the Bobcats, Gerald Wallace was the face of the franchise. And when we traded him away, you can ask my dad, you can ask my friends, you could not get me out of bed for like 2 or 3 days. You've seen videos of like little kids, like when their favorite player gets traded, like that little kid when Jaylen Brown just got traded and like he was just bawling. Yeah, multiply that by like about a smooth 10. I was so ill. I was so sick. Like, Gerald Wallace is one of my favorite players of all time, still is. And then, of course, the next year we were 7-59, the worst team ever in NBA history. So I always like to think of that as karma. I'm like, you know what? We deserve that. You gonna trade Gerald Wallace for a box of cookies? We deserve that. So yeah, like when Melo got traded, I was just like, same old story. Get rid of our stars. You know what I'm saying? You let go of Gerald, you let Kemba walk, you let LaMelo walk. I'm just like, you know what? I'm used to this at this point. And then one thing Jeff Peterson said, the general manager, he was just trying to like talk about seeing the bigger picture, which I get that to an extent, but it's like at the same time, we've been dealing with the bigger picture for the last, how long have I been alive? 27 years? Like, he's always talking about just wait. I'm tired of waiting. I just want to make it past the first round. No, I want to get in the playoffs first, past the play-in, but I just want to make it past the first round, because we had them. And this series still pisses me off to this day. 2016, we had the Heat. We had them where we wanted them. and damn purple shirt guy just had to get into D-Wade's ear, and D-Wade just turned into Flash for the last like 2 or 3 minutes of the game. And I'm just like, and don't get me wrong, I love Dwayne Wade. Like, he's one of my favorite players of all time too. But that game, I was so mad at D-Wade. I'm like, you gonna do this to me? I'm one of your biggest fans, but you gonna do this to me in my hood? Like, that game, game 6, D-Wade, purple shirt guy, that still pisses me off to this very day because we ain't been back to the playoffs since. Now, we did make the play-in this year, and you could say we got revenge on the Heat, but it's the play-in, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, seeing the atmosphere in Charlotte this year pick up from around February to April, I'm telling y'all, and I tell my friends this all the time, it's like when the Hornets and the Panthers are good, see, we're at an advantage. We got 2 states. We got 2 states that are going to be behind you. So it's like, when you're winning, we got you. We going to be there. We going to show. We going to be loud. We going to be rowdy. Like, we are a basketball states, you know? So with that said, I mean, look, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, I don't know what the season's going to look like now. I know that Brandon Miller has just been handed the keys. Con Knipple has been handed the keys. Like I said, we got rid of LaMelo, and we got rid of, we got rid of Miles Bridges too. So a lot to look at from that perspective. Fanatics Fest. First of all, shout out to the whole iHeart team for helping make that happen. That trip was amazing. For those who don't know what Fanatics Fest is, think of your typical like Comic-Con, CinemaCon, VideoCon. It's basically that, but for sports. So you have your sports memorabilia there. You have your trading cards there. You have all kinds of celebrities there, like LeBron, Tom Brady, Ice Show Speed, Serena Williams, you know, Lindsey Vonn, just to name it, like a whole lot of stars were out there. Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, a whole bunch of podcasts, like The Pivot, Dwight Howard's podcast. He did some stuff with Dennis Rodman. I actually ended up meeting Dwight, which was really cool because I had a bone to pick with him because I was like, man, when I was a kid, man, you used to get on my nerves because he used to torture the podcast back in the day. So we had a good laugh about that. Got a nice picture with him. So that was really cool. So shout out to Dwight. We got to get you on the show soon. That was a lot of fun. And the most heartwarming, humbling part of it was how many times like I got swarmed, because I love content. I love creating. And sometimes I get stuck in my own isolation bubble and I don't realize like, man, we got a lot of like supporters. We got a lot of followers. So, and it was wild because it's like people from all over the world were just like, yo, like we watch your stuff. Like we watch you from Seattle or Texas. And I'm just like, it's mind boggling to me. So anybody that I took a picture with, met, signed stuff for, I just want to let you guys know that I truly, truly, truly appreciate you guys. Like the love truly means a lot. Like it gives me chills thinking about it right now. Like I cannot thank you guys enough. Like this show and everything that I've been doing for the last almost 7 years now, it's honestly surreal. Like I said, I made one video of my college apartment, and as they say, the rest is history. So anybody that I had a conversation with at Fanatics Fest, thank you so much. But yeah, man, Javits Center, it was literally from end to end, straight up Fanatics Fest. And the only thing I ended up getting, Mitchell and Ness, they had a nice activation in the very back. And I saw a throwback Carmelo Anthony jersey from the Knicks. Because I already got the Denver one, but I got one from the Knicks. And I was like, we in New York. I got to get this. And honestly, I'm mad that I didn't get it now. They were selling vintage Jeremy Lin Knicks jerseys as well. And I should have got one. And I know 2XL is too big for me, but you know what? When you put it in the washer and dryer, it shrinks a little bit. So I should have got it anyway. One of the first things I said on one of my first few episodes, I think it was with Jeremy, I was like, live and on location. So with that said, I just want to say that this location will be changing. Yeah, it'll be changing very soon, as a matter of fact. I just closed on a new home out here in Orlando. That was such a process, but I really appreciate everybody that was involved. I won't name drop them, but you know who you are. I just want to say thank you so much for everything. And I want to give a huge thank you to my family for helping lay the blueprint and the foundation for my 27 years of living, of what it means to, you know, continue to work hard and, you know, good things will follow. So enjoy this view. I low-key cannot wait to take all this stuff down. But yeah, we're about to move into a new setting, a new home, a new studio. And like I said, Orlando is going to be home for the long haul. And the reason I decided to stay in Orlando, one, obviously because of family. And two, easy access to everything. And there's a lot of opportunities in Miami, and that's just a bright line away. And for Orlando, you can take a nonstop to Charlotte. You can take a nonstop to New York, Texas. You can even take a nonstop to Kansas City, Missouri. Shout out my guy, Jeremy. You know, California, Oregon, whatever. Like, it's easy. And so Orlando, it's one of those things where I know I'm going to have to start getting myself out there more. Will it be a challenge? Of course it'll be, because I have terrible social anxiety. If you can't tell, I have terrible social anxiety. But, you know, of course, we're going to have to overcome that. I'm 27 years old now. So, yes. So this studio, you only get a few more glances at it because, like I said, I will be moving into my new home, and I'm very, very, very excited about that. And like I said, none of this happens without y'all's support, and I truly, truly, truly appreciate it. I want to thank the entire iHeart family as well. Like, you guys have changed my life in ways. 15 plus episodes in, I still can't even process. So I thank you guys dearly for that. And so, yeah, that's all the life updates I got as of now. I'm sure I'll have plenty more a couple months from now. But that is another episode of The Clifford Show. We got some more incredible episodes coming up real soon. If you have made it to the end, thank you, thank you, thank you. This journey has been incredible. And as we always say, this is the beginning. So with that said, I love you guys. I am out of here. Peace.